Everybody sing that shit.
Serbia 0-2 Brazil. Paulinho and Thiago Silva fire Selecao to last 16. Some may say this is not a vintage Brazil team, not yet anyway. But they do have classic Brazilian traits. Coach Tite's team are talented yet capriciously vulnerable, and isn't that just how we have always liked them? Here in the capital, Brazil took the victory they needed, and they will face Mexico in the next stage in Samara. They were not always convincing, though, and this remains a tournament that feels as though it could throw them from the tracks at any moment. Serbia, Stojkovic, Rukavina, Milinkovic, Veljkovic, Kolarov, Matic, Milinkovic-Savic, Tadic, Ljajic, Zivkovic, Kostic, Radonjic, Mitrovic, Jovic. Unused subs: Rajkovic, Tosic, Milivojevic, Spajic, Ivanovic, Prijovic, Rodic, Grujic, Dmitrovic. Bookings: Matic, Ljajic, Kostic, Mitrovic. Goals: Brazil, Alisson, Fagner, Thiago Silva, Miranda, Marcelo, Filipe Luis, Paulinho, Fernandinho, Casemiro, Willian, Coutinho, Renato Augusto, Gabriel Jesus. Unused subs: Cassio, Pedro Jeromo, Marquinhos, Fred, Firmino, Tyson, Ederson. Bookings: Goals: Paulinho, 35, Thiago Silva, 68, Referee: Al-Arzafani, Iran. Happily, they remain beguiling to watch and will probably get better from here on in. For all the noise about Philippe Coutinho remains their heartbeat, and the former Liverpool player was excellent once again here. But at a goal up early in the second half, Brazil survived a brief onslaught from the Serbia that pointed to the very heart of their weaknesses. Brazil never look comfortable when balls are delivered with quality into the penalty area. They have a goalkeeper who prefers to punch rather than catch, and central defenders who do not communicate with him or indeed with each other. That is never a good combination, and it really was only through a smattering of fortune that Brazil came through that spell of uncertainty to break and score the second goal that gave them breathing space at the top of the group. Having taken the lead through Paulinho 15 minutes before half-time, Brazil will have known that Serbia would throw everything at them in the second period. Serbia needed to win to get through after all. So when Thiago Silva headed in at the near post from a corner in the 68th minute, the din here would probably have been heard all the way in downtown Moscow. On this occasion, it was a roar of relief as much as anything. A World Cup that began slowly for the pre-tournament favorites is gathering momentum, at least. For a team that needed to win to gate-crash the top two places, Serbia's intent early on was to contain and frustrate a Brazil team that had failed to beat Switzerland and left it late to overcome Costa Rica. So everywhere a yellow shirt went, a red one followed, and often there were two. It must have been exhausting work on another humid night, as Brazil are a team that like to rotate not only possession but also their positions. Players like Coutinho and also the powerful midfield runner Paulinho are constantly on the move whether they are in possession or not. Despite this, Serbia were comfortable for a while. Occasionally they were a little too robust in the challenge, and a stronger referee may have booked more than one player. Adem Ljajic did have his name taken for a late lunge at but that was it. Organized and energetic, Serbia at least had a plan. Against a team like Brazil, you must have a plan. They sat in behind the ball in numbers in the first half, and that made it hard for Brazil to pierce them early on. The South American sections of the crowd got excited early on when Gabriel Jesus looked as though he may score, while another movement involving the Manchester City player ended with Serbia goalkeeper Vladimir Stojkovic pawing away an effort from that may have passed safely across the face of goal anyway. Jesus then got clear down the left in the 29th minute but chose to cut back inside instead of trying the shot from an angle. He successfully stepped inside Milos Veljkovic, but that allowed other defenders to arrive, and the shot struck a Serbian leg and went behind for a corner that came to nothing. That rather summed Brazil up for a while. Nearly but not quite. At the other end, meanwhile, Serbia did carry a threat on the break and looked particularly dangerous at corners. Filip Kostic saw an early effort deflected wide and Newcastle's Aleksandar Mitrovic could not keep an overhead kick down in the minutes leading up to Brazil's opening goal. Brazil had spent most of the game up until this point trying to play their football in and around their opponents. Often they ended up ushered into areas where they couldn't be effective. But when their goal came it was rather more direct. Coutinho spotted the surging run of Paulinho and dropped a perfect pass over the top of the Serbian back four and into his path. Unlike the ball that Lionel Messi turned into a goal for Argentina 24 hours earlier, this one only required one touch and that was to lift it over the top of the Serbian goalkeeper. Maybe Stojkovic had committed himself a little early, but maybe there wasn't much choice. Whatever the case, Paulinho's touch was perfect and Brazil had the lead. There was also still time for Neymar to curl a shot over the angle of post and bar before half-time. Now Serbia did have no choice but to push forward, and that was always going to come with risk attached. A cross from Ljajic was almost turned into his own goal by Fagner in the 56th minute, but when Brazil cleared the corner, Coutinho set Neymar away and his low shot was saved by the goalkeeper's feet. The game had a real cut and thrust about it by now, and Brazil were struggling in particular to deal with crosses into their box. One low center was pushed clear by goalkeeper Alisson just after the hour, and when Mitrovic headed it back from 10 yards he was unfortunate that Thiago Silva was in the way. Certainly Brazil were beginning to look as though they would need another goal, and that impression grew when Mitrovic jumped powerfully at the far post to head down, bringing a decent save from Alisson on his goal line. That prompted Brazil coach Tite to throw in Manchester City's holding midfielder Fernandinho. With scorer Paulinho making way, it was clear what Tite was trying to do. Brazil had lost control of the midfield and as such were coming under increasing pressure. Almost immediately, though, the second goal they badly needed arrived. A corner from the left saw Mitrovic and Miranda tussle, and when both fell to the floor, Thiago Silva moved into the space to head in at the near post.